So good morning, everyone, and thank you very much, Bob, for having us back to speak to the audience here. You know, San Francisco, as you know, is the heart of Silicon Valley, but it's also for Cisco, our neighbor, and our namesake. And it's really our intent, as you heard about the population changes, the demands of the city, it's really our intent at Cisco to help enable and support the city of the future. It is about digitization, and it is the digitization of public sector. So I think the important part to note is it's already happening, and it's happening in small areas, it's happening in verticals within the public sector itself. So before I get started, I'm going to show you a quick video of what's actually happening at the University of San Francisco. Can we roll the first video?
The University of San Francisco is over 150 years old. We are in the middle of San Francisco, and we occupy about 52 acres. It's a very open campus of about 10,000 students overall, and about 3,500 students living on campus. Safety and security, I think, for all universities is usually the #1 priority. And that's because you have a responsibility not only to the students, but to your staff and to anybody who really comes on campus.
We want them to not just feel safe, but to actually be safe. We want them also to be able to function in ways that feel natural and normal to them, to focus their attention on what they're here to do, which is to grow, to learn, and to thrive.
We've got different ways of looking at security, and one is boots on the ground, but more and more we're looking to technological advances that can help make the personnel aspects work much more effectively.
The University of San Francisco has had Cisco technology for many years, everything from core infrastructure to endpoints out in the field. We've leveraged that investment also into the security space, and we now have Cisco connected safety and security technology. We have video surveillance, which is unified with our access control system, our campus card system, our notification system, as well as incident response.
One of the important things in maintaining a safe environment is making sure that people who are accessing our buildings, our residence halls, are folks that are welcome, that are supposed to be there.
We've always used student workers as community assistants. They work the front desks of the residence halls, and their responsibility is to monitor the occupancy of everyone who comes in.
There's always human behavior that allows for an unsafe environment. For example, students propping open doors, which happens all of the time in residence halls.
If they come in with a big group of people, it can be so difficult to make sure you've checked every ID.
We have what's called door surfing, where somebody will walk in a group and just pop in the door without actually having shown an ID.
We sought to use technology to help bridge that gap. One of the nice things about working with Cisco solutions is they're very open and they scale very well. The interoperability potentials are profound. So we partnered with Omniscient to help enhance our safety and campus experience.
So let me ask you a question. How many people are moving into the cities around the globe per hour? Is it 10? Is it 100? Is it 1,000? Or is it 10,000? Think about it for just a moment when you think about the numbers that we heard earlier today. When you look at how the cities are urbanizing, it is driving 10,000 people per hour to the cities. That is essentially one London every single month. When you think about that physical requirement, it's virtually impossible to get a building stood up at the rate that needs to be there to house or to support economic development. The important part to note is while the people are coming to the city, as are the citizen services needed to support that community. And that becomes the challenge. We try to find ways to connect and use the internet to allow us as a public sector entity to support citizen services. And all that information, as we heard in a previous speech, is about the data that's coming out of it. We need to make better decisions, and we need to make more informed decisions so that we could support this growth in our city itself. Rapid urbanization leads to changes in the cities from all different parts, and we know about traffic here in the San Francisco area. It's also about public safety and actually doing more with less. Change isn't constant, it's absolutely instant. And we need to use technology in order to address it, support it, and evolve it so that we could continue to evolve the citizen services that are needed in an environment like this. Building a digital city together is really what we're trying to do. We're trying to identify different applications and different needs to support what the city has to offer this evolving community that we have. We do that with a framework, and there's some great examples already going on here in San Francisco. We have the partnership, non-traditionals, where we have your silos of the BART or the MTA coming together to say, how am I going to address this? As we talked about the Warriors this morning, I was watching on the news the en masse of people that use the public safety system in order to participate and attend and to be a part of that celebration. Those types of partners help the city address the needs of the consumer of city services. And this framework, at the top of the line there, this is where those silos need to be broken down and support what the city is asking for. This is a wireless mesh. This is what the city's aspiration would be, to say, hey, how am I going to supply these services and change and evolve how I engage? The bubbles here actually represent different applications, whether it's parking, street lighting, video cameras as you saw that USF is using. The intent is, how do we take the infrastructure and the support that's already been built in and bridge it together to change the way a citizen actually experiences it? But really what it comes down to is, what are those outcomes? What are the outcomes that the city is looking for, the citizens are looking for, and more importantly, the businesses that operate? It's about boosting the livability index. People want to come to San Francisco. People want to experience this environment. But how do we make it affordable? How do we address their needs? How do we educate? How do we transform? And how do we bridge that together? And the way we do that is by breaking down those silos, those traditional silos that we've seen in times past. It was great to see some of the accolades that San Francisco's received in recent times. So it's #1 in the best performing city in the large city category. And it's also one of the top global cities in the top 25. That's fantastic, and it's a recognition of people want and enjoy this environment. But really, what are the challenges? What are the challenges that they need to address? The solutions that we could provide and innovate with, and what are the results that we're looking for? It is new generation of urban services, and when you think about homelessness and what's needed to support that community, because they too are in need, it's about providing innovative applications through a new way of engagement, and that's through the digital kiosks. Now, when you think about it, what can a kiosk do? We're actually doing some work with an organization in the city to offer connectivity for those individuals who are in need. Video connectivity, so they could potentially connect with a loved one that they're distant from. They could connect with social services and provide them an opportunity. And that has been missing in times past, because look at the boom we've had to deal with here. The ability to staff up and support has to be delivered in a very different way. The lines get longer, the services become less, because they cannot achieve the same quality or delivery to what's needed in this population growth. I'm going to give you an example, and it's about a teacher. A teacher who is living in outer Richmond that has to get down to the Tenderloin to teach. She has to wait for the 38 bus and hope a couple of things. She needs to hope that that bus shows up on time. She has to hope for a seat on that chair. If she doesn't, she's going to miss her class, and her students aren't going to receive the education that they're asking for. So how do we change and how do we evolve what that teacher could do to ensure that she is there? What about engagement? A smart bus stop, knowing that when that bus actually shows up, there's a seat waiting for her. So I'm going to show you about what the last traffic jam would look like. And this ties to what Mayor Lee has actually announced.
The traffic jam, scourge of 20th century city life, raiser of blood pressure, disruptor of supply chains, stealer of bedtime stories, polluter, frustrator, time thief. And one day soon, we'll see the last one ever. Cisco is building the Internet of Everything for connected cities today that will confine the traffic jam to yesterday. Cisco, tomorrow starts here.